So we're going to get our game select menu. And what we want is we want for this to take up all of the space. So we're going to Alt-Shift, resize it to full, and then we're going to create an image right under it. I'm going to Alt-Shift, resize to full. And we're going to attach the checkerboard sprite. And then we're going to not preserve aspect. And from here, this is going to be, we're going to call this border. And then we are going to create a new image. We're going to call this one Super Mario Bros. 3. And then we're going to create another image. We're going to call this one Mario Bros. And the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to resize these so that they take up half and half of our border. And then we are going to go in here, Mario backgrounds, and we are going to grab this one. And we're going to attach that there. We don't want to preserve aspect because that would break the look of everything. I'm going to make sure to cover up all the dark spots. That's important. And then we are going to go into, not this one, this one. And we are going to grab this out. We're going to create first image, title, and we are just going to resize it and then put on this sprite, preserve aspect, make it a little bigger. And for right now, this is all we really have. We don't have animation, so what we can do, we can just right-click, add image, and call it Mario, and just throw this boy over here. Preserve aspect, make him bigger, and that's pretty much it. We don't have much for anything. But one big thing that we do want to do is, so you see how this is just an image right now? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to add component. And instead of creating a button, we're just going to add a button component. So now this entire thing, this right here, is a button. And then we're going to add button over here. Now this entire thing is a button. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Mario backing. And we're going to find the bricks. I'm going to make that the background. And then we are going to go over here. And we're going to add UI image. And we're just going to call it title. And then we're just going to add a sprite. And so we're going to preserve aspect too. We're going to move it over here like it should be. And that's that for that. So currently, because we only have the one, like the one system, like currently because it's just this that's a button, we can't use sprite swap to make them darken. So we're just going to have them work like usual right now. And we do have a solution for that later, in a later tutorial, actually. So if we run now, you'll notice that these are both buttons. We can click them. They don't do anything right now, but they're both buttons. They exist. Yeah, and that's our game select menu. So next up, actually, we would like to create a UI image, and we're going to call this game menu. And we're going to, again, Alt-Shift, fill. Oops. I mean, we're going to right-click, create empty, and we're going to call it game menu. And then we're going to Alt-click, Shift. And then we're going to add an image as a child. And we're going to call this image background. And then we're going to Alt-Shift, click to fill. And then we are going to grab the title background image found in the Mario backgrounds. So we're going to click on this and drag title background in. And there we go. And then from there, it's pretty much we're going to create a button, actually. We're going to delete the text because we don't want it. And then we're going to replace the UI sprite with basic this, preserve aspect. We're going to make it real big. And then we can go to color tint and change it to sprite swap. And so when it's highlighted, it'll show that. And then when it's selected, it'll show this. So game menu 1, it'll show this. And then when it's pressed, it'll show that. So now if we rename this to title, and we're just making it so that they can click on the screen and have it do something. So if you see this, now when it's, when we go back, now eventually we just want to animate this and make it so they can press any button to continue to the next menu. But for now, this works. So if we click it, it does nothing right now. And that is our second last menu. The very last menu that we would like to create is we're going to right-click, create empty. I'm going to call it the load file menu. And this one is going to be simple, but just a lot of sprites everywhere pretty much. So the first thing that we want to do is we are going to create an image, and we're going to Alt-Shift. But you notice that we didn't Alt-Shift this one. So Alt-Shift, full screen, and now the image is stretched to full. And so we're going to call this background, obviously, and the background that we're going to use is actually the exact same one, since this is basically the same menu. And the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to add UI image, And we're going to change it to the line separator that we created. And we're going to change it to simple, preserve aspect. Or sorry, not preserve aspect. We don't want it to preserve aspect. What we want is it like this. As you can see, it is very hard to move around a really small object. So what we're going to do is we're going to move it and then make it small. I'm going to change it over to sliced, because when you slice an object, you get more even lines like what we just created. So now we've got one there. So we're just going to call this separator. We're going to Control C, Control V that. And we're going to make that one bigger. Move it down here. Make it smaller again. Sorry, we're going to make it bigger again because we put it in the wrong spot. And then we're going to make it small. Zoom in. Right there. And so what we're going to do is we're actually going to make it even just a bit smaller. We're going to make it 7.2. And there we go. So now that we've gotten that, we're going to move this one a bit further down. And then we're going to grab out the select a file. We're going to right click, image, and we're going to put that up here. Select a file. Preserve aspect. Put that right in the middle. And then we're going to right click, create image. And we're going to call this one file 1. And this will be a selector. And then we're going to call it file 1. We're going to preserve aspect, because that's always important. And then we're going to Control C, Control V, Control C, Control V. And we're just going to move these out to where they should be. There we go. Now we can replace their images with file 2 and file 3. File 2. File 3. And then pretty much from there, we're going to add this. We're going to right click UI image like this. We're going to preserve aspect. There we go. And now these files, they're all pretty much the same. So we're just going to Control C, Control V, Control C, Control V. And then we're just going to take this position, put it to 0, put it to 0, because it's all relative to it. And then we're just going to add one last one, UI image. Add a last image. Make sure it's, and Control C, Control V, put that down there. Control C, Control V, put that down there. And then if we just click on it, reset its Y to 0, it'll be on the same line. And there we go. And then as a finishing touch, we can go into our menu, right click, UI, image, copyright. And since it is red, in the thingy, in this menu, we can change it to red, put it right in the middle. And the very last thing that we need to do for making these is add buttons to all of these. Now, if we run, we can click on these buttons. That's it. The very, very last thing that we need to do in order to make everything function is we need to go to our buttons. So our single player button right here, and add an on click, add 2 on clicks. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have this enable the game select menu. So we drag the game select menu, go to game object, set active, make it true. And then we're going to select the bottom menu, go to game object, set active, and make it false. And now if we run, click on single player, sets our second menu active. And then, so if we go here, we add 2. We drag the game select menu into the bottom one and the game menu into the top one. Game object, set active, game menu is true. Game object, set active, game select menu is false. If we run it, click on single player, click on Mario. Now we're in the third menu. So now if we go to game menu, and our title is our button, so we add 2, make game menu the second one, load file menu the first one, game object, set active, false, game object, set active, true. And that's it. You can now navigate through all of your menus. Mario Bros doesn't do anything because we don't have that, but we do have Mario Bros 3. You can click on that, then you're done. That is it. That is everything for today's tutorial. Now we've concepted this menu and it all functions, but it doesn't function like a regular Mario menu would. You can't use keyboard controls. You can only use mouse controls. We're going to fix that in the next tutorial because we don't want that. We want to be able to use keyboard controls. Mouse controls are just a happy side effect. And now we're going to go on to the recap, I guess.